Hare Krishna all. We will start with the prayers. Okay. By the time all can join, you can recite the prayers after me.
Okay.
उमज्ञान्तिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोस्तुते तप्त काञ्चन गौरांगी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुस्तुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुवैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So a very warm welcome to our Srimad Bhagavatam session for today. So we'll recite Bhagavatam prayers. You can repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayanam Namaskrityam.
Narayanam Namaskrityam.
Naram Chaiva Narottamam.
Naram Chaiva Narottamam.
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam.
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam.
Tato Jayam Mudirayet.
Nato Jayamudiraye.
Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu.
Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu.
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya.
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya.
Bhagavate Uttama Shloke.
Bhagavate Uttama Shloke.
Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki.
Buddhir Bhavati Naishtaki.
Krishnaya Vasudevaya.
Krishnaya Vasudevaya.
Devaki Nandanaya Cha.
Devaki Nandanaya Cha.
Nandagopakumaraya.
Gopakula Kumaraya.
Govindaya Namo Namaha.
Govindaya Namo Namaha.
ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवत महापुराण की जय। Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So today we are using another platform. We are using Cisco platform instead of Zoom. So let's see how it goes on this Cisco, and let's see. We need to change it the next week. We'll see that. So we'll recite one beautiful verse from Canto 7, which Prahlad Maharaj says. So let us open Canto 7 chapter 9, verse number 43. 7, 9, 43. From vedabase.io, you can open the verse. Canto 7, chapter 9, verse number 43. You can recite the verse. I will recite and you can repeat after me. Have you got the verse?
Yes, Guru.
Okay. Naivo duje paraduratya vaitaranyas.
Naivo dvije paratyayavai.
Taranya.
Swadvirya gayan mahamrita magna chitta.
Swadvirya gaya
Maha.
Krita magna chitta.
Soche tato vimukha chetasa chetah indriyartha.
Soche tato vimukha chittasa indriyat.
Maya sukhaya bharam udvato vimudan.
Maya sukaya bharatato vimuddan.
Very beautiful verse which Prahlad Maharaj is saying. I will repeat another once more. You can recite full shloka. Naivo duje paraduratyaya vaitaranyas twadvirya gayan mahamrita magna chittah. Soche tato vimukha chetasa indriyartha maya sukhaya bharam udvato vimudan. So it's a very beautiful verse. The translation goes, maybe Sridevi Mataji, you can read the translation.
Prabhuji. O best of the great personalities, I am not at all afraid of material existence. For wherever I stay, I am fully absorbed in thoughts of your glories and activities. My concern is only for the fools and rascals who are making elaborate plans for material happiness and maintaining their families, societies, and countries. I am simply concerned with love for them.
Yeah. So this is Prahlad Maharaj saying, and this verse is very alarming and eye-opener for us also. That he says that, oh, best of great personalities, I am not at all afraid of material existence. Material, he is not afraid of all material existence, you know. So right now we are all still afraid, you know. Now everything will be opening up soon, and we will be asked to go to offices and go to office, maybe go to school and go to, you know, several other places. So we'll be still afraid. But here Prahlad Maharaj is saying that I am not at all afraid of material existence. You know why he's saying so? For wherever I shall stay, I am fully absorbed in the thoughts of your glories and activities. So he's saying to the Lord that when I am fully absorbed in the glories and in the activities and pastimes of your you know, your glories and your pastimes, your means the Lord's pastimes and Lord's glories. So there is no fear of there is no afraid of the material existence. So if you are constantly boggled with all the material things and, you know, watching news channel all the time and, you know, seeing what is the status of coronavirus and what is the status of you know, cross country borders and what is the status of crime and whatnot, what is the status of suicides of people, and we are completely seeing all those news, then we are, you know, completely lost. But if we are taking the shelter of Lord's glories and Lord's pastime, then you will not be at all afraid of all the material existence, that whether the world is safe for stepping out or not, whether the world is safe in India or whether the world is safe in such and such country. So you'll all forget that, because you'll be completely taking the shelter of the Lord's glories and Lord's thought. He's saying that I am only concerned for the fools and rascals who are making elaborate plans for material happiness and maintaining their families. Maya Sukhaya Bharam. You know, the word says Maya Sukhaya. Maya Sukhaya means temporary happiness. Sukhaya means happiness. Maya Sukhaya Bharam. Those who are taking the too much of load, you know, too much of stress for maintaining, for having a little happiness, with temporary happiness which Maya gives us. Maya Sukhaya Bharam Udvito Vimudahan. Vimuda means fools and rascals. He's afraid of the fools and rascals who are taking too much load in satisfying the family needs and, you know, uh, taking big plans and elaborate plans, 5-year, 20-year plan, 30-year plan, and 40-year plan for their families and kids. So Prahlad Maharaj is concerned and worried about them, and he is not himself worried for material existence. Why? Because he is always engaged in the thoughts of the Supreme Lord. So Srimad Bhagavatam, when you read Srimad Bhagavatam, you are completely absorbed in the thoughts of Supreme Lord. So when you are reading Bhagavatam, this is the idea that you should be completely absorbed for 1.5 hours or 1 hour, whatever you are reading Bhagavatam. You should not think of anything else and completely absorb your mind in the glories of the Lord, so that you get disconnected from the outer world and completely focus on Srimad Bhagavatam to get to drink the nectar of Srimad Bhagavatam directly from the verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, from the verses of the great personalities who are speaking Srimad Bhagavatam, right, who are discussed in Srimad Bhagavatam. So that is the whole idea. Yeah. So I was talking to one person. I don't know whether Mahesh Prabhu joined in this call. Not yet, I think. But when he was saying that now he's reading Bhagavatam and he's in more love of Krishna, he's loving Krishna more and more day by day by reading Bhagavatam. So this is what he was saying, that as he is reading more, he is in love with Krishna more and more. So this is what happens when you read Bhagavatam. This is a warning. Whoever is reading Bhagavatam, listening Bhagavatam, this is a warning. You will be falling in love with a personality called Krishna. You cannot remain away from Krishna, from falling in love with Krishna while reading Bhagavatam. So if you don't want to fall in love with Krishna, please don't read Bhagavatam. Otherwise, if you are reading Bhagavatam, then definitely you will be in love with Krishna, right? So this is the Grantha which will tell all the glories of the Lord, so that you like Krishna more and more. As you like more and more, he will also like you more and more. So as the two persons are interacting, their love exchanges, the relation becomes more stronger and more stronger and more stronger, right? So it is a very loving relationship with Krishna through the means of Srimad Bhagavatam. So let us recite this Bhagavat Mahapuran, and we'll continue with our chapter of the chanting, the song sung by Lord Shiva. Okay. So I'm not sure, I'm getting some video obstructions of all of you because of Cisco or because of network, I'm not sure. So I need to share the video. I need to share the presentation. Can anyone share the presentation? Divya Mataji, or can you share the PDF portion?
Yes, Mother. Yes, Prabhu, I'm sharing it.
Okay. So till now, what we saw is a very beautiful story with Prithu Maharaj and Prachetas. So after Prithu Maharaj, we saw Prachetas. So all the Prachetas, the 10 Prachetas, are going to austerity in the beautiful lake, and they see a beautiful lake, and they were planning to go inside the lake and do the tapasya. So they were planning to do that, and suddenly Lord Shiva comes from the lake, and he gives the instructions to the Prachetas that how they should meditate and what prayers they should chant for the Lord. So we saw a lot of prayers where Lord Shiva is saying different things for the Lord, for Lord Krishna, for the Supreme Controller. He's saying too many things, that you are everything. So we concluded, Lord Shiva concluded, rather, not we. Lord Shiva concluded that Lord Krishna is the Supreme and he is the cause of all the causes. He is Sarva Karana Karanam, and everything is Krishna. Everything is Krishna, and the space inside us, the space outside, the sky within us, sky outside. So we saw too many things. We saw the Chaturvyu also, the Pradyumna, Aniruddha, Vasudeva, and Shankarshan. So we saw the different meaning of Shankarshan. We saw different meaning of Pradyumna. And what are the function of those deities we saw. So we saw all those things in the presentation. I've shared on the group, so you can read that also. It's a very amazing thing. So all those deities are controlling everything practically: the planets, the air within us, the galaxies, the universe, and the integration and disintegration, intelligence, our voice, our behavior, our emotions, our senses, our mind. Everything is controlled by those deities. So practically nothing is there which is outside Krishna's jurisdiction. Everything is within Krishna. Everything is within Krishna, and still he is aloof from his own creation. So that is the beauty of Krishna which we saw. He never touches the material world. He still remains aloof in Golok Vrindavan. And we saw the full structure of creation also, how it is coming. So from Krishna comes the first Chaturvyuha, then from Sankarshan comes Narayan, and then comes the second Chaturvyuha. And from Shankarshan, that second Chaturvyuha Shankarshan comes three Purusha avatars like Karanodakshaya Vishnu, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, and Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. From Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, all other avatars are coming. And from Garbhodakshaya Vishnu's navel comes Brahmaji on the lotus stem. So we all saw that. So we all saw, and the Krishna is Avatari. He is the incarnation. He is the fountainhead of all incarnation. He is the source of all incarnation. Right? Etescha sakalam pumsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. This is what is described in Srimad Bhagavatam, that all other avatars are coming from Krishna and he is the Avatari. He is not Avatar. He is Avatari. So we say that Krishna is Avatar of eighth avatar of Vishnu, but actually he is Avatari of which everything else is coming. And he himself comes as the eighth avatar of Vishnu. So actually he is Avatari. Right? So this is what confirmed by Lord Shiva in up till now. You can move to 18 slide, Mataji, 18 of 34. Yeah, so can you see the presentation and can you see me or just the presentation and Divya Mataji you can see? Okay, yeah, go to the next slide after this. Yeah. So now Lord Shiva has described, so first we finished the first theme of the description, wherein the Lord Shiva has described the glories of Lord Krishna or Vishnu. Now he is describing the form. Now he's describing the form, he described the qualities up till 43rd shloka, and now he will be describing the form of Lord Vishnu. Now there is an exercise for all of you and the kids also, that as we read the shlokas, you have to imagine the form of Vishnu in front of you. Okay, the verses are so explicit and so elaborate that you will be actually seeing the picture of Krishna coming in front of your eyes. And for all your kids also who are there and who are not there also, there is a homework for summer vacation. I know the exams are overing this week, so from next week everybody is jumping on your head, will be jumping on your head. So give them the homework that reading these verses from 44 onwards, they have to draw a picture of Vishnu or Krishna as per this description which is given here, right? So they have to draw the picture and they can post in the group, and let us see who wins the best creative picture of the Bhagavatam. So draw Krishna as per your imagination. Don't see any movie or anything, any cartoon character. Just read the verses, and you make the verses read to your kids, so that it is giving very elaborate explanation is given. What Krishna is wearing, how he's looking, everything is there. So you can make a picture of Krishna and draw the photograph. Okay. Hope that homework is okay for all. Yeah.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. Everybody can see the screen.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, so we'll start with the first verse. Okay, who can read? Shruti Mataji, you are there. You can read the first verse from 44.
Yes, Prabhuji. Lord Shiva describes the form. Text 44. My dear Lord, I wish to see you exactly in the form that your very dear devotees worship. You have many other forms, but I wish to see your form that is especially liked by the devotees. Please be merciful upon me and show me that form, for only that form worshipped by the devotees can perfectly satisfy all the demands of the senses.
Yeah. So what Lord Shiva is saying, that I want to see that form of yours, which is especially liked by the devotees. So there are many different forms of Krishna. He says Advaita Anadi Ananta Rupam. He says Ananta Rupa means Ananta Rupa is Krishna is having Ananta Rupa. We have seen his Kurma avatar, his Matsya avatar. He's in the form of tortoise, he's in the form of fish, he's in the form of boar, he's in the form of Hayagriva, the horse. He's in the form of Vamana, he's in the form of, Narad Muni, and so many other forms. But now what Lord Shiva is saying, that which devotee is liked, I want to see that form which is liked by the devotees. This is the prayer which we should do, which Lord Shiva is saying to Prachetas, that you chant these prayers while you do the austerities. Right? So you understand the link? Shiva is saying that these prayers, which I am chanting, you chant, and I am showing you how to do it. He's showing you, it is like the leaders, the leaders in office, they say that please do that work and show to me. But the leaders have never done that work before. They tell you that you do this work and show me, it should be perfect, it should be best. But then the leader has not performed that activity at all, ever. It happens, right? But here Lord Shiva is a perfect leader. He's saying that this is how you should chant, and let me chant for you and see how I am chanting. This is the how exactly you should chant. So this is he's showing to Prachetas. So this is actually he's showing to us that's how prayers we should chant, right? So he's saying that perfectly satisfies all demands of the senses. So show me that form, right? So Krishna, it is said, if you read the description which Prabhupada gives, he says that absolute supreme truth is Sarva Kama, Sarva Gandha, Sarva Rasa. He is known as Sarvo Vaisaha, the source of all relationable relationships. He is the source of all the rasas. Which rasa we know? There are 5 primary rasas, right? 5 primary rasas which are of the relationship. One is
Madhurya Rasa.
Sakya Rasa.
Yeah, that is the highest one, Madhurya Rasa. Okay, next, Shanta Rasa, Dasya Rasa,
Dasya Rasa.
Vatsalya Rasa,
Vatsalya.
and Madhurya Rasa, right? These are the 5 primary rasas. We forgot one, I think.
One is left.
Sakya.
Shanta, Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. So these are the 5 primary rasas, and there are secondary rasas also. There are, I think, 7 secondary rasas. So which are different, different rasas of chivalry, of horror and bravery. So all those, there are different 7 rasas. So there are 12 rasas. So he's the source of all rasas. What do you mean by that? That Krishna can exchange any kind of rasa with anyone. Like for example, with females, he will have a different rasa. With males, he will have a different rasa. With small boys, he will become a small boy, and so boys, small children will also like Krishna. With elderly people, he will behave like a different. So he can have a relation with everyone and each and everyone. Like he can have a relationship with servant also as a sevak, and he can have a relationship with friend also. He can have a relationship with mother also. He can have a relationship with lover also. So you can accept Krishna as lover, accept Krishna as your son, as your father, as your friend, as your master, anything. But that is not the same with all other avatars. Ram, you cannot Ram is Patni Vrata. You cannot expect Ram to be your lover. He will not exchange that relationship with you. Even if you want, he will not accept that, because he's only one woman man, right? He is very chaste and Maryada Purushottam. But Krishna is Krishna is Purna Purushottam, right? He is having all the rasas. He is the source of all the rasas. So you can have all relationship with Krishna as you want. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam tathaiva bhajamyaham. In Bhagavad Gita, he says, the way you reciprocate with me, I will reciprocate the same way. This is what Krishna is. He is full of rasas. This is the only difference between Krishna and other avatars. The rasas are missing, right? So it is said that Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Ruchyate. So Bhakti's definition is that with all our senses, Rishik is the senses. Rishikena, Rishikesha is the master of the senses. So with our senses, eyes, nose, ears, mouth, tongue, skin, we have to serve Krishna, right? And how we have to serve Krishna? The touch of, it is said in Prabhupada, that touch of Krishna's skin is very cooling. When we hear, when we touch some skin which is very soothing and cooling, which gives us pleasure. So that is how Krishna's skin is. This is what Lord Shiva is describing. His voice is sweet, perfectly satisfy the hearing senses. He has a very sweet voice, and when we hear very loud voice and very cranky voice, we try to close our ears. But Krishna's voice is very sweet. His eyes are satisfied by seeing the form of the Lord. So all the senses will be satisfied when we see the form of the Lord. Even Brahma Samhita, Brahmaji describes. So Brahma Samhita is the Samhita, means the prayer song by Lord Brahma. So he says, you can see the text box there. He says, Venum Kwanantam Aravindadadalaksham Bharavatam Asamvitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandarpakoti Vishesha Shobham Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So if you see that translation, I worship the Lord Govinda, who is adept in playing on his flute. So Krishna is always playing the flute. He's flute means bansuri. So he plays very nice flute that all are mesmerized by his bansuri. When it is described that when he plays the bansuri, all are mesmerized, and when all are dancing, when he starts playing the flute, all the animals and everybody starts dancing, and gopis and goalas and everybody comes near to Krishna for hearing very nice music. And then when Krishna is playing the bansuri, he makes a very nice gesture with his eyes. When he's playing bansuri like this, he with his eyes, because hands are busy, right? Can you see me? I don't know if you can see my hands. When hands are busy, he shows with his eyes to his gwala. Just see how the cow is dancing there. He moves the eyes like this. He says that, look at that, how the cow is dancing. Then when they all are seeing there, then he moves that way. See that peacock is dancing there and that side. So with his very beautiful lotus-like eyes, the gopis are dancing like this, and the demigods are coming above. So he moves his eyes above. That please see above that the demigods are also there, and the demigod wives are also there. So very beautifully he moves his eyes, and when he plays the flute. So it's very beautiful form which is described in Srimad Bhagavatam. So his eyes are blooming like lotus petals, whose head is bedecked with a peacock feather. So these are all the descriptions which you can use for making your portrait. He's always having a peacock feather, right? Whose beauty is tinged with the hue of blue clouds, whose unique loveliness charms the millions of Cupid. Now, Cupid means, the Cupid, right? The small boy with a bow and arrow, when we see some Valentine Day cartoon or something, the Cupid comes and he hits the arrow, a male arrow and the female arrow, and both fall in love, right? So that is one Cupid, Kamdev. Cupid name is Kamdev, right? What we know. And these, foreigners or Westerners have termed this as a Cupid. But we know Cupid has Kamdev from time immemorial, right? So that Cupid, when he throws the bow and throws the arrow at us, then we are falling in in the hands of Kama. And it is said that Krishna is like that millions of Cupids are, falling for him, falling for Krishna. So that is the beauty of Krishna, so that all the Cupids are falling for him, and they are all mesmerized by seeing the charming face of Krishna. Yeah, let's now go to the next slide. Yeah, Divya Mataji, you can read.
Lord Shiva describes the form. The Lord's beauty resembles a dark cloud during the rainy season. As the rainfall glistens, his bodily features also glistens. Indeed, he is the sum total of all beauty. The Lord has 4 arms and an exquisitely beautiful face with eyes like lotus petals, a beautiful, highly raised nose, a mind-attracted smile, a beautiful forehead, and equally beautiful and fully decorated ears.
Yeah, so you have to imagine the form of the Lord now, right? I've just kept one photograph here so that you can have some idea of what is being discussed here. Though this photograph is not limiting your creativity for imagining. So please imagine the form of the Lord. Don't stick to the photograph. So it says that Lord's beauty resembled to the dark cloud with rainy season. Now, when you see the rainy season, not here in India, right? So the rainy season is there, but when there is a dark cloud, filled with water, the color of that cloud is, how is that color? It's bluish, blue and a little bit of gray. So that the cloud which is filled with water, with a rain filled cloud. So that is the color of Krishna's body. The hue of Krishna's body is like that. He has 4 arms and he has beautiful, exquisite face with like lotus petal eyes, extending to the ears. So that is what the face of Krishna is. It's looking very mind-attracting smile. So he says, it says in the purport that 4 arms of Lord Vishnu has a different purpose, right? The hands are holding the lotus flower and the conch shell meant for the devotees. So it has 4 things, right? Shankh, Chakra, Gada, Padma, right? So Shankh and Padma, flower and the conch shell, are meant for the devotees because they are the pious things. And what the other 2 hands are holding as Chakra and Gada, that is meant for killing the demons, right? Which shloka in Bhagavad Gita you remember by this? परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृतां धर्म संस्थापनार्थाय संभवामि युगे युगे. So he comes for destruction of demons and pleasing the devotees at the same time. So he's having all the things in his hand to do all the, all the things. But then, what the original form of the Krishna is as Sham Sundara, he is holding the flute. The original form of Krishna is holding the flute and playing the flute. So that is the original form which devotees like, which devotees are preferring. So as I discussed in the last class also, in all the ISKCON temples, you will see the form holding the flute, and Radharani and all Balramji and all those form only you will see. So that is the form which devotees can relate, and there is the original form of the Lord, Shama Sundara Rupa, right? So he is happy playing the flute, and all other expansion forms are doing different activities, right? So all the rasas which are experienced, they are experienced on this two-handed form of the Lord, which devotee please the much. Yeah, you can go to the next slide. Okay. Yeah, someone can read. Pradeep Prabhu, can you read?
The Lord is super excellently beautiful on account of his open and merciful smile and his sidelong glance upon his devotees. His black hair is curly and his garments waving in the wind, appearing like flying saffron fallen from lotus flowers. His glittering earrings, shining helmet, bangles, garland, ankle bells, waist belt, and various other bodily ornaments combine with conch shell, disc, club, and lotus flower to increase the natural beauty of the Kaustuba pearl on his chest.
Yeah, so he's super excellently beautiful. You see the words? Super excellently beautiful. We just know beautiful only. Now you can tell your wife's different adjective also from tomorrow, all the males who are listening. Super excellently beautiful. If some wife is asking, how I'm looking with this sari, you can use this word. Super excellently beautiful from the Bhagavatam. A new word learned today. Okay, so he says that on merciful smile, merciful smile. He's having a merciful smile. He's not having a demonic smile. Like Rakshasa are having he ha 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 ha. Not like that. He's having a very merciful smile, where he's showering mercy on his devotees, and his sidelong glance upon his devotees. Why sidelong glance? As I told, he's playing a flute, so he's glancing very from the side of how you see from the side of the eyes. I don't know whether this video is helping me to see. If you see from the side, you're just not moving your face because you're playing the flute like this, and you have to see from the side of your eyes. So that is how the Krishna sees his devotees, from the side of the eyes. This is what is told here. And his black hair is very curly, and he's having garments and helmets and bangles and ankle belts and waist. So he's having all the ornaments. He's not without any ornaments. So he's having all those ornaments which are shining and glittering, and with the Shankha Chakra, Gada, Padma, and Kaustuba pearl on the chest. Krishna is always identified by Kaustuba pearl on the chest. So that is the identification where Lakshmi ji resides always. So that is the identification. Yeah, Samira Mataji, can you read the next verse 49?
Yes, Prabhu. The Lord has shoulders just like a lion's. Upon these shoulders are garlands, necklaces, and epaulets, and all of these are always glittering. Besides, there is the beauty of the Kaustubha money pearl, and on the dark chest of the Lord there are streaks named Srivatsa, which are signs of the goddess fortune. The glittering of these streaks excels the beauty of the golden streaks on a gold testing stone. Indeed, such beauty defeats a gold testing stone.
Yeah. So what is said is, upon these shoulders, the lion-like shoulders, are the garlands and necklaces and epaulets. This is one kind of ornaments, and all of these are always glittering. And there's a Kaustuba money pearl, and on the dark chest of the Lord, the chest is dark. It is not white. It is dark chest because it is like the color is like a cloud, right? We remember, you remember we learned the shloka from Mukunda Mala Stotra, which Kulashekar Alvar sings. I hope some of you remembered. Jayati Jayati Devo Devaki Nandanoyam Jayatu Krishno Vrishni Vramsha Pradipaha Jayatu Megha Shamala Komalanga Jayatu Prithvi Bharanash Mukunda. So what he says in the third line, Jayatu Megha Shamala Komalanga. So Megha means cloud, Shamala Komalanga means the dark complexion like a cloud. So Kulashekar Alvar in Mukundamala Stotram, he is also describing Krishna like that. No, so that is not Bhagavatam, but the description of Krishna is always like that. So all the great Alvars, all the great philosophers and scholars, they always describe Krishna like that in the Bhagavatam. So this is where we come to know how Krishna looks like. So he's having a Megha Shamala Komalanga. His Komalanga, the Anga very common, Komal. The Anga means organs. The body is very komal. It is not very hard. It is very komal and it is Megha Varana. And it is said that glittering of the streaks, it is having a streak named Srivastava. Srivastava streak is there, right? Streak on the chest, and which is a signs of goddess of fortune. And there is a comparison of gold testing stone. I'm not sure how many of you have heard of this gold testing stone. There is stone which is used for testing the gold, whether the gold is real, pure gold, or fake gold. There is a stone for that, a black stone. And how the test is, they use the stone and they strike the gold on that. And if it leaves the golden strike on the stone, the gold is real. And if it doesn't leave, the gold is not pure. It is not gold. It is something fake. So then the black stone with the golden strike looks very beautiful. So, but then it is compared here that the glittering of these strikes of Srivastava on the dark chest of the Lord excels the beauty of the golden strikes on the golden stone. So, just to give comparison, Shivji says that how the strikes are there on the stone, it looks very beautiful. The God's beauty with those strikes of Srivastava where Lakshmi resides is excelling that gold testing stone also. Such beauty defeats the gold testing stone. So just see the comparison which is used here. Very beautiful. Yeah, you can go to the next verse. Who will read? Pradeep Prabhu, can you read? I think you read already, right? Yeah, Dilip Prabhu, you can read.
The Lord's abdomen is beautiful due to 3 ripples in the flesh. Being so round, his abdomen resembles the leaf of a banyan tree. And when he exhales and inhales, the movement of the ripples appears very, very beautiful. The coils within the navel of the Lord are so deep that it appears that the entire universe sprouted out of it and yet again wishes to go back.
Yeah, so see how beautifully Shiva is describing. Lord's abdomen, stomach portion is very beautiful with the 3 ripples in the flesh. When you have stomach, you can see in your mirror, you have some ripples, right? So that is how many ripples you can count for you. And being so round, his abdomen resembles a leaf of a banyan tree. When he exhales and inhales, the movement of ripples appears very, very beautiful. And the coils are so deep. Our navel, if you see, our navel is deep inside, right? It is not superficial. So it is said that the more deep your navel is, the more beautiful you are. That is a sign of beauty if your navel is deep. So here is Krishna's navel, who is so deep that it appears the entire universe is going into that, coming from that and going into that navel itself. So as we know that from the navel, what arises from Garbhodakashay Vishnu? A stem of a lotus plant, stem of a lotus comes. On that stem, there are 14 planetary positions, 14 planetary systems. And on top of the stem, there is a flower and there is a Brahmaji. And Brahmaji starts creating all the universes. So you can imagine from the navel, everything is sprouting up. This is what exactly Shloka is saying, that from the navel sprouts the universe and again as if wishes to go back in. So just imagine all the universe we are talking, science is talking of exploring all the universe and multi-dimensional and what dimensions, I don't know. And some light years and many thousands and billions of light years. Everything is just like a small marble which goes into the Krishna's navel. It is just like a pea, जो ये होता है मटर, मटर in Hindi we call मटर. Size of a pea, the whole creation, material creation. It's just like a pea which is there on the navel of Krishna. That Krishna we are talking, and we are chanting his name and Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And that Krishna we are associating while chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. You just imagine that such a powerful personality is with us. If such a powerful personality, we say that he's having too much of pride because किसी बड़े आदमी का हाथ है इसके सर पे, है ना? We say in Hindi that he's so powerful because he's backed up by somebody very big. You know, if he's backed up by somebody very big, then he becomes very proud and he does whatever he wants. So you just imagine such a personality is backing us when you are chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Such a great personality is backing all of us. We should be feeling very proud that we are servants of Krishna and we are chanting the holy name of Krishna. We are chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, where this personality is there, which is creating everything and which is the source of everything. Yeah. Okay, Anusha Mataji, you can read the next. 51.
The lower part of the Lord's waist is dark and covered with yellow garments and belt bedecked with golden embroidery work. His symmetrical lotus feet and the calves, thighs, and joints of his legs are extraordinarily beautiful. Indeed, the Lord's entire body appears to be well built.
Yeah, so his entire body is well built, right? He's not a very like skinny and a very poor looking fellow. He's not like that. So he's a well built, having a well built body with a shoulder like a lion like shoulders, and waist is dark with the yellow garments. So Krishna is always with yellow garment, right? Krishna is always with yellow garments, and who is with blue garments?
Balaram?
Sankarshana Balram.
Who is with blue garments?
Balaram?
Balram.
Balaram, Prabhu?
Yeah, Balaram. So Balaram is with blue garments and Krishna is yellow garments. Am I audible?
Yes, Prabhu.
You can show thumbs up.
Yes, Prabhu, we can hear you.
Yeah, so Balram is with blue garments and Krishna is with yellow garment. So that is the identification of Krishna and Balram. Even if you see in temples, sometimes they dress it like this also, yellow and blue garments. And they use different garments also, but that is the general, the appearance of the Lord is always with yellow garments, yellow dhoti, right? Even there is a Krishna Balaram Pranam mantra also. You can repeat after me. Yeah, Pitambara. Vishnu Prabhu is writing Pitambara. Yeah, that's what Pitambara. So the shloka, Nilambara and Pitambara. Very good, Prabhu. So I will recite one shloka. You can recite after me. That's a Krishna Balaram Pranam mantra. Right? I'm not sure. Video audio is not very good here in Chittoor, but still you can. Jaladhara Sasivarano
Sivarano
Gopavesha Kishoro
Gopavesa
Gopavesha Kishoro
Sahachara Gana Vrinde
Sahasara Gana Vrinde
Pridamano Vrijeshu
Pidamano Vrikeshu
Natavarajitaveshu
Natavarajitashu
Neelapitambaradyo
Neelapitambara
Jagata Janana Hetu
Janana Hetu
Ramakrishna Natosmi. Yeah, so this is Krishna Balaram prayer Pranam mantra. It says Jaladhara Shasi Varanu Gopavesha Kishoro. So Jaladhara means again the cloud, right? Jaladhara, the cloud holding the water. Jaladhara Sashi Varano. Sashi is moon. So Balaram is white and Krishna is having Jaladhara, like a cloud, dark cloud. Krishna is like dark cloud and Balaram is white. So Jaladhara Sashi Varano Gopavesha Kishoro. Gopavesha means dressing like a cowherd boys. They both are dressing like a cowherd boys. Gopavesha Kishoro. Then Jaladhara Sasivarno Gopavesha Kishoro Sahachara Ganavrinde Kridamano Vrijeshu. So they are just roaming in the forest, like for playing games with other cowherd boys. Right? Natavara Jitaveshu Neela Pitambaradyo. Neela is blue and Pitambara is yellow. So they are wearing Neela and Pitambara, blue and yellow garments. Jagata Janana Hetu Ramakrishna Natosmi. For the deliverance of the whole world, they are roaming, and I pray to such Krishna and Balaram. So this is the identification. Okay. Yeah, and yeah, we can move to the next one. So his symmetrically lotus feet and the calves and thighs and joints of his legs are extraordinarily beautiful. His body appears to be well built, right? So this is what we read. Yeah, let's go to the next verse. Preeti Mataji, can you read? Preeti Mataji, are you there? Or Sri Devi Mataji, you can read.
Yeah, I'm here. 52, right?
Yeah, 52, you can read.
My dear Lord, your two lotus feet are so beautiful that they appear like two blossoming petals of the lotus flower, which grows during the autumn season. Indeed, the nails of your lotus feet emanate such a great effluence that they immediately dissipate all the darkness of in the heart of a conditioned soul. My dear Lord, kindly show me that form of yours which always dissipates all kind of darkness in the in the heart of a devotee. My dear Lord, you are the supreme spiritual master of everyone. Therefore, all conditioned souls covered with the darkness of ignorance can be enlightened by you as the spiritual master.
Yeah. So this shloka is saying about the feet of the Lord, right? The feet of the Lord are so beautiful that they appear like beautiful blooming petals, and the nails, the nails of the lotus flower, lotus feet of the
Hare Krishna,
Lord
Prabhu.
is, yeah, yeah, Prabhu, tell me.
No, okay.
Yeah, Prabhu, any problem? Hare Krishna.
Yeah, we are not able to hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, now. Now, okay.
Okay. Yeah. Am I audible, right? I'm audible properly?
Yes,
Okay.
bro.
Yeah. So it says that the effulgence which is coming from the nails of the Lord's feet is like, it dissipates all the darkness in the heart of a conditioned soul. So the Brahma Jyoti which we say, some people are focusing on the light, focusing on the effulgence of the Lord, that is coming from the nail of the Lord. It is so effulgence that the light is coming from the nail of the Lord, and some people are just thinking that light is everything. There is nothing beyond the light. So you see, there are different philosophy in India. If you go, there is a different philosophical branch which just focus on the light which emanates from the Lord. They think that that is only enough, and we will finally merge into this light. But the light is half knowledge. Actually, we should see that where the light is coming from. So it is very clearly described here. The light is coming from the nail of your lotus feet. The effulgence of the full light, in which full Brahma Jyoti, in full which Brahmand is there, that is coming from the just the nail of the Lord. So it is good to understand the effulgence is there, but then we have to see what is behind that also. Like, for example, if you see sunshine, right? So you see that you consider that there is only sunshine and there is no sun planet. So is it correct? No. The sunshine is coming from the sun planet, right? So you tell your kids that better sunshine is only there, and finally it is only there. There is nothing after that. The sunshine is coming just from somewhere. But no, we have to see the source of the sunshine also, where it is coming from. So sun planet is the source of sunshine. Sunshine is just one aspect, like the all pervading feature of the Lord. Like Lord is present everywhere. Sunshine is present everywhere, right? So that means that sun is present everywhere, but sun is having its own presence apart from sunlight also. Like it's a different entity, right? So the Supreme Lord is separate, and his effulgence is just coming from his lotus feet, the nails of the lotus feet. So if you see the darshan of the Lord, when you go to the temple also, or when you do the some arti or puja to the Lord also, you have to start from the lotus feet and then go to the face. You should not directly see the face of the Lord. In temple also, when you are taking darshan in Sri Sampradaya also, if you go to all Sri Rangam temple or Tirupati temple or any temple you go, any Vishnu Tattva temple you go, you have to take darshan from the feet. If you go to any South India temple also, the pujari who is doing the arti, he will take the deepak, he will take the lamp first to the feet of the Lord. First he will show you the feet, because
We
in
can't
South India
hear you,
temple,
Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Am I audible to all? Yeah,
It's audible, Prabhuji.
yeah. If somebody is not hearing, please relog in because I'm audible to others. Okay, can I continue? Yeah. Okay. So I was telling that in South Indian temples there are no lights. There are no lights or there are no tube lights or something like that. They show you the Lord with the lamp only, right? With the lamp, with the deepak, with the diya. They show you the lamp, and they go to the first to the feet of the Lord, and slowly, slowly they go above. They will show you the thighs. They will show you the abdomen. Then they will show you the hands, and then finally they come to the face and their full body. Now this is how they do the arti also. The arti also has to be performed in that way only. So here the Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam, which we are reading now, is also compared to the body of the Lord, right? So you have to, the first and second canto are the lotus feet of the Lord. The first and second canto, what we saw. So I will just give you one disclaimer here. We are just now seeing the Bhagavatam from very like a drone point of view, like a bird's eye point of view. We are not even swimming in Bhagavatam. We are just seeing from top that what Bhagavatam is. When we will start swimming, you will have a different experience. When we will have a snorkeling, just put your head down and see the some fishes, you will have a different experience. When you go scuba diving, you have a different experience, right? So these are the 3 4 experiences. Now you're just on a higher platform and seeing that, oh, there is a sea here, it is reaching there, it is so blue, it is like that. So this is what we are doing now. We are not even swimming. When you come to the swimming part, it will be a different experience. You will enjoy further. And if you put your head down, you'll see so many different fishes, so many different verses in Bhagavatam, like magic, like very mesmerizing. And when you go scuba diving, you will be amazed completely. So we are not just touching the tip of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is just I want to say. So first and second canto are compared to the lotus feet of the Lord. Third and fourth are compared to the legs. Fifth is compared to the waist. So right now we are in the fourth canto. So we have just reached to the legs of the Lord, right? We are in the legs of the Lord. And why they are compared to like this is also having a different 1 hour explanation. I will not go into that now, but it is just to, I want to make one point. That's why I put this slide here. So fifth canto is fifth waist of the Lord. Sixth canto is the chest of the Lord, like the chest, right? Sixth canto. And this is where the heart is located. Yeah. Seventh and eighth are the arms of the Lord. Ninth is the neck, right? And 10th canto is the smiling face of the Lord. And the 5 chapters of Rasa Leela is considered to be smile of the Lord. Smile is the best part of one's body. So when a person smiles, he is looking completely beautiful. So the smile of the Lord is the 5 chapters of the Rasa Leela, which he where he engages in the Rasa Leela dance and does this pastimes of Rasa Leela. But what happens is, normally directly people jump to the Rasa Leela. They want to understand that directly, let me go in the Rasa Leela pastime of Srimad Bhagavatam and enjoy. So that is the wrong way of reading Srimad Bhagavatam. So Acharyas have described that we should always start from the lotus feet. As you take the darshan of the Lord, you should read the Bhagavatam in the same way, right? You should read the first, second canto, third canto, fourth canto, and then slowly you reach to 10th canto. And then you go into the deep of the Rasa Leela pastimes with Krishna and Radharani, so that we can understand that. Otherwise we will be doing aparadha. We will be understanding it in a mundane knowledge, and we might do aparadha. So that is why we have to go slowly and read the Acharya's purpose so that we understand properly, because it's a deep subject matter to understand. And then 11th is compared to the forehead of the Lord, where the brain is located, and 12th is the crown of the Lord, right? So this is how it is. And the 10th canto is very important, because there our Krishna will come and he will do all sorts of his pastimes and all sorts of his Bal Leela, very beautiful Bal Leela. Now also, if we see Shrestha performing some naughty Leelas at home, we are smiling, right? So if Shrestha is also performing she's very small, maybe 5 6 years old, and she's performing the Leela, which is giving us happiness. So just think that all beautiful, all powerful, all mightyful, all enchanting Krishna, when he performs the Leela, how beautiful it will be for our face, how it will be beautiful for our soul. So that we will see in the 10th canto, when Krishna willing, will be reading 10th canto at that time. Yeah, so this is how the Bhagavatam is. This is how we should take the darshan of the Lord. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Yeah, I think Sridevi Mataji, you can read.
My dear Lord, those who desire to purify their existence must always engage in meditation upon your lotus feet, as described above. Those who are serious about executing their occupational duties and who want freedom from fear must take to this process of Bhakti Yoga.
Yeah, so a question. Anybody wants to purify their existence in the group? Yeah. Anybody wants freedom from fear?
Why not, Prabhu?
Yeah. So Bhakti Yoga is the only process, right? So this is what clearly Bhagavatam says, that if you want to get away from freedom from fear, fear of what? Fear of losing jobs, fear of losing our hairs, fear of losing our our clothes, our money, our family, our parents, our money, everything. Fear can be anything, right? So if we have all those fear, if we want freedom from that fear, what is the solution? The one must take, it says, Lord Shiva says, those who are serious about executing their occupational duties and who wants freedom from fear must take to this process of Bhakti Yoga. It is not should take or can take, they can take Bhakti Yoga, they should take Bhakti Yoga. No, it is they must take Bhakti Yoga process. That is the only way. If you want freedom and want to purify our existence, if you want freedom from the fear, we must meditate on the lotus feet of the Lord, and we must take the Bhakti Yoga process, which starts from hearing, right? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, Smaranam Padasevanam, Archanam Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmane Vedanam. These are the 9 processes Prahlad Maharaj describes in Srimad Bhagavatam. It starts with Shravanam, starts with hearing, right? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmane Vedanam. So these are the 9 processes through which we can uh, execute bhakti. The first one starts with hearing about the Lord, which you all are doing, right? Hearing is must. Not only from me, you should hear from other acharyas also. Like we are posting some videos and all, so you should hear from the authorized bona fide acharyas. You should not say that hearing Prabhu ne hearing bola, so let us hear everything. No, if you hear everything, then you will go nowhere, right? You should hear from the bona fide sampradaya, from the bona fide acharya only, who are allowed, who are authorized to speak on Srimad Bhagavatam, who are authorized to speak on bhakti process. If you hear from anybody who is sitting here and speaking some nonsense, you will be following nonsense, and you will ultimately, your life will become also nonsense. This is what Bhagavatam says. So you should be very careful while hearing also from the bona fide spiritual masters, from the bona fide acharyas who are in the bona fide spiritual parampara system, Guru parampara system. Yeah, you can read the next verse. Okay, I will pick. Okay. Kranti, can you read? Kranti, somebody is there? Lakshmi Mataji or Kranti?
Yes,
Yes,
Prabhu.
Prabhuji. My dear Lord, the King in charge of the heavenly kingdom is also desirous of obtaining the ultimate goal of life, devotional service. Similarly, you are the ultimate destination of those who identify themselves with you. Aham Brahmasmi. However, it is very difficult for them to attain you, whereas a devotee can very easily attain your lordship.
Yeah. So what Lord Shiva is saying here, that you are the ultimate destination for those who identify themselves with you. Aham Brahmasmi. You may hear this word from some people in India when you go. Of course, not here, but in India, some people will say Aham Brahmasmi. They are different category people who are saying, I am the Lord myself. Aham Brahmasmi. I am the Lord. So tell them that if you are the Lord, please lift Govardhan, and then we will consider you the Lord. This is a very simple answer. Okay, they cannot lift one table also, forget about Govardhan. Okay, so that's another story. But then the point is that even the people who say I am God, you are the ultimate destination for those also. That is what Lord Shiva is confirming. and it is very difficult for them to achieve this. But then it is very easy for a devotee who chants your name, who listens to your glories, who wear tulsi mala, who wear tulsi kanti mala, who chants the glories of the Lord. It is very easy for a devotee to attain you. How? Because Krishna confirms in Bhagavad Gita also, Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavan yaschasmi tattvata tato mam tattvato gyatma vishyate tadanantaram. He says that Bhaktya mam abhijanati. Through bhakti only you can know me. Otherwise, there is no process. You cannot understand me with speculation. That Krishna might be like this, Krishna might be like that. You cannot understand with speculation. You cannot understand with siddhis. You can only understand through bhakti. Through bhakti, if you are devotee of the Lord, then only you can understand Krishna. This is what he says. Yeah. Let's go to the next verse. Sri Devi Mataji, you have read already, I think. Then Vishnu Prabhu, are you there? Can you read? Or Vijay Prabhu, can you read?
Yes,
Vijay
Prabhu.
Yeah.
Shall I?
Yeah, Prabhu, please. 55.
55. My dear Lord, pure devotional service is even difficult for liberated persons to discharge. But devotional service alone can satisfy you. Who will take the other process of self-realization if he is actually serious about the perfection of life?
Yeah. So, my dear Lord, pure devotional service is even difficult for liberated person to discharge, but devotional service alone can satisfy you. So, devotional service means bhakti. When we do devotional service, that alone can satisfy Krishna. Who will take to other process of self-realization if he's actually serious about perfection of life? So, performing bhakti is very easy. If you offer a tulsi leaf also to the Lord, he will be pleased. If you offer little water, he will be pleased. Flower, he will be pleased, right? Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachati tadam bhakti uparatam ashnami prayatatmana. He says in Bhagavad Gita. So very easy to offer, very easy to perform bhakti, very easy to perform devotional service. What you have to do? Sit at your place and chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Right? You don't have to lift so many kgs of weight. You don't have to go in forest and stand like Dhruva Maharaj. Right? You don't have to go in, in the lake inside, go in the lake and stand like Prachetas. No. You have to just perform devotional service, which can alone satisfy you. Because that is the mark of bhakti in Kali Yuga. You have to perform devotional service to the Lord. And if it is so easy process is available, why would certainly some people will take the difficult process? This is what Lord Shiva is saying. Who will take other process of self-realization if he's actually serious about the perfection of life? है ना? ये क्यों ले? कोई वो ना ले? That was the different ad in India. Some of you remember, I don't know. Right? What was this ad? कोई एक क्या? I don't remember that ad completely. It says ये ले कोई वो क्यों ना ले, something that ad was there. I don't remember the full ad. Sorry, bro.
Prestige cooker.
Yeah, prestige cooker, exactly. Yeah, thank you, bro. Yeah, so that was like this, So ye kyun le, wo na le, something like that. So it is that if you have an easy sublime process, you should take that. Yeah. Let's read the next one.
5, right?
Pradeep, you can read. Yeah, 56.
Who is reading?
Yeah, Vishnu Prabhu, you can read if you are there
Okay.
online.
Okay. Simply by expansion of his eyebrows, invincible time personified can immediately vanquish the entire universe. However, formidable time does not approach the devotee who has taken complete shelter at your lotus feet.
Yeah, just by the blink of his eyebrow, just by the expansion of his eyebrow, the invincible time can destroy the universe. You don't have to come here to destroy Kansa. You don't have to come here to destroy Hiranyakashipu. You don't have to come on this earth to destroy Kauravas, to destroy whatever all so many asuras. But then why he comes here? To give exchange with the devotees, to give love to the devotees. He comes personally. He can sitting there in Golok Vrindavan, he just moves his eyebrow and the invincible time will destroy the universe, complete universe. So that power he is having, but still he comes to give the exchange of love between devotees. And while the process, some demons are making nuisance here and there, and he kills all those things. So the main purpose of Krishna coming is to give love to the devotees. But the devotee who is in complete shelter is not affected. He says in Bhagavad Gita that Arjuna, declare it boldly that my devotees never perish. So he says that my devotee will never perish. In Bhagavad Gita also he says. Right? Vishnu Prabhu, you can read the next verse also.
If one by chance associates with a devotee, even for a fraction of a moment, he no longer is subject to the attraction by the results of karma or jnana. What interest then can he have in the benedictions of the demigods, who are subject to the laws of birth and death?
Yeah. So what it says again, if one by chance associate with a devotee, even for a fraction of second, no longer subject to attraction or results of karma. So how we will get bhakti? By association of devotees. Even by chance, if you associate with with devotees, then you should not be interested in the benediction of demigod also, which is subject to, who themselves are subject to laws of birth and death, even the demigods. So, but then association of a devotee will give you bhakti, which is permanent, right? So, what to speak of the benediction which we get from demigod, who themselves are under the control of birth and death, who themselves are not free? What benediction they can give us, when a pure devotee, if we associate, can give us bhakti, right? For a fraction of moment also. This is what it is said in Shastras also, that sadhu sanga, sadhu sanga, sadhu sanga, sarva shastra kahe, lava matra sadhu sanga, sarva siddhi hoye. Lava matra sadhu sanga means very small fraction of association of a pure devotee also makes one pure, right? Like Narad Muni. Narad Muni met Dhruva Maharaj, he became pure and he found the Lord. Narad Muni met Prahlad Maharaj, he said, he was completely under the control of Vishnu. So Narad Muni met so many different devotees, 4 Kumaras, and they were devotees. Narad Muni met our Vyasadev, so he written Bhagavatam and he was in pure devotee. So Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha makes one pure devotee. So this is where we should look for always the sadhu sangha, where sadhus are there. Where sadhus are there, I should make a point to associate with them, right? And what a definition of sadhu is: bhajate mam ananya bhag sadhureva samantavya. Bhajate mam ananya bhag. Without any deviation, if a person is constantly chanting my name, hearing my kathas, glorifying me, is considered a sadhu. Not any other person with just saffron clothes and yellow clothes like me can be considered a sadhu. No. A person who is having continuously speaking of Krishna Katha only and doesn't speak anything else, his mind is constantly absorbed in Krishna, he can be only called as the sadhu. Outwardly, he may look like a normal person, but internally, he should be always connected with Krishna. Okay. Vishnu Prabhu, you can read the next also if you are reading.
My dear Lord, your lotus feet are the cause of all auspicious things and the destroyer of all the contamination of sin. I therefore beg your Lordship to bless me by the association of your devotees who are completely purified by worshipping your lotus feet and who are merciful upon the conditioned souls. I think that your real benediction will be to allow me to associate with such devotees.
Yeah. So everywhere we are in Bhagavatam, we are seeing Dhruva Maharaj Katha, Prahlad Maharaj Katha. Everybody who is seeing the Lord is asking for what? Give me association of devotees. Give me association of devotees. Give me association of devotees. Now Lord Shiva is also saying, please allow me to have the real benediction will be give me association of devotees. Right. So in front of the Lord, when we are in the morning, when we are praying, what we should pray? Give me car, give me money, give me 10,000 dirham, give me this, give me that. No. We should pray simply, please Lord, give me association of nice, very gentle devotees. This is what exactly you should pray. What now Vishnu Prabhu prayed very nicely. If any one of these prayers, if you just stand in the front of the Lord and recite this, just recite this prayer same. You don't have to recite anything else also. You don't have to memorize. Just write in a piece of paper, morning you say this thing. My dear Lord, your lotus feet are the cause of all auspicious things. Please give me the association of devotees. This full verse. Your job is done. Even in English, even in Telugu, Lord understands all language. Just recite this. Sometimes people ask me that what we should recite in front of the Lord, what prayers we should give to the Lord. You should recite these prayers, that please give me devotees association. You are first, you should glorify the Lord, that you are the cause of all auspicious, and then you should ask for the devotee association. This is prayer you can chant for yourself, right? These all prayers, anyone you can chant for yourself. Yeah, let's go to the next verse. I think Dilip Prabhu, can you read?
Yes, Prabhu.
Or if
The
somebody else
devotee,
is not.
the devotee
Prabhu.
whose heart has been completely cleansed by the process of devotional service, and who is favored by Bhakti Devi does not become bewildered by the external energy, which is just like a dark well. Being completely cleansed of all material contamination in this way, a devotee is able to understand very happily your name, fame, form, activities, etc.
Yeah. So a devotee whose heart has been completely cleansed by the process of devotional service. So we are in the process of cleaning our heart, right? Like we have a Surf Excel powder and we are cleaning the clothes, the female can relate with that. So you are cleaning, but still the stains are there. So still what you do? You clean more, right? If the still stains are there, what you do? You clean more, right? So that is the process of cleaning. So this is what we are doing. We are cleaning still. We are not completely cleansed, right? This is statement is for completely cleansed, whose heart is completely cleansed by the process, who are favored by bhakti, does not become bewildered by external energy. If you are completely cleansed, you will not be bewildered by dark energy. But if your cleaning is in process, your still stains are there, you will be bewildered by the maya, by the dark energy, right? So for example, I normally generally give this example. When you are fully stained with all the mud and everything, you put on the shower, right? You go in the front of sit in the front of shower and you start the shower, right? So at that particular time, you are completely clean or you are completely dirty.
Process, cleaning
In the
process.
process, it's we don't get completely cleaned.
Yeah, you are in the process of cleaning. So at that point, you are still halfway cleaned, halfway dirty. So you be in the process, and you let the put the shower on. Don't switch off the shower, and don't put on more dirt also on you. So stop putting more dirt and let the shower be on. You will be clean. Simple. So chanting the holy name of the Lord is the shower, and all the sins, all breaking of four regulative principles. What we discussed. Those are all the mud or the dirty things which we are putting. So stop putting that. Let the Hare Krishna Mahamantra be on. At the time, you will be cleansed completely. When you are completely cleansed, you will not be affected by Maya, which is like dark well. And then you'll be understanding very happily the name, fame, form, activities of the Lord. You'll be free from all material contamination. Right? This is what it says. Let's go to the next verse. Yeah, verse number 60, 61. Niharika ji, are you there?
Can I read?
Yeah, who's this? Yeah, read, no problem.
Hello.
Yeah, read, Prabhu.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Prabhu. My dear Lord.
Prabhu, right?
Sorry. It's
Yeah,
okay?
go ahead, Prabhu.
Yeah, my dear Lord, the impersonal Brahman spreads everywhere like the sunshine of the sky, and that impersonal Brahman, which spreads throughout the universe and in which the entire universe is manifested, is you.
Yeah, so now the form description of form is over. Now it is a third theme which Lord Shiva is entering. Now again he is concluding the tattva part, and he is saying the impersonal Brahman is also manifested in you. The effulgence which we talked of is the impersonal Brahman. Yeah, read Prabhu the next one also.
You have manifold energies, and these energies are manifested in manifold forms. With such energies, you have also created this cosmic manifestation, and all through you maintain it as if it were permanent. You ultimately inhalate it. All through you are never disturbed by such changes and alterations. The living entities are distributed by them, and therefore they find the cosmic manifestation to be different, separated from you. My Lord, you are always independent, and I can clearly see that fact. The criminal department is troublesome for the criminal, but not for the obedient citizen. Similarly, this material energy is troublesome for the conditioned soul, but it has nothing to do with the liberated souls who are engaged in the service of the Lord.
Yeah. So a very beautiful example which Prabhupada gives here. See, try to understand this. It's very important. So it says, the shloka says that all the energies are manifested from you only. You know, all the Lord, all the energies, whatever we see around is all manifestation of the Lord. Lord says in Bhagavad Gita also, Bhumirapo analo vayu khamo mano buddhirevacha ahankara iti yamme bhinna prakriti rashchadaha. Bhinna prakriti rashchadaha. You know, bhinna means different. So they are all Bhumi. Bhumi is Mother Earth. Bhumir Apo. Apo is sky. Bhumir Apo Analo. Analo is fire. Vayu is air. Kamo is ether. Mano Buddhi Ahankar. So five, all 8 great elements. Right? Bhumir Apo Analo Vayu. Kamo Mano Buddhi Revacha. Ahankara Itiyamme. False ego. Mind, body, mind, intelligence, false ego. Ahankara Itiyamme. Bhinna Prakriti Rashtrada. They are my separated energies. Right, so everything we see around us is made up of these 8 elements, and these are all Krishna's energy, out of which all is created. So it says that all cosmic manifestation is created from you only, but still you are peaceful, you are not agitated. You know, you imagine that you have to create something, how much you will be disturbed. You know, you have to do this, you have to do that, and too many things you have to do. You have to make food in the morning. You know, Samira Mataji can relate this. She's making food, not now, maybe now because of lockdown, but when we were coming to her home, when she was making food, how much, you know, she's always in the kitchen, running here and there, coming in the room, outside, going, and you know, this has to be made, this has to be made, all running here, all going on, right? So this is all disturbed. But when Krishna has to create everything, he is not disturbed. He's peaceful. You know, he's very. You are never disturbed. It's said that you are never disturbed. Living entities are disturbed by them, by all these disturbances. Living entities are disturbed. But then Prabhupada gives a very nice example. When criminal department, there's a criminal department, right? So criminal department is there. It is troublesome for the criminals. Those who are doing the crime, they will be afraid of the police, right? Those who are doing the crime, they will be afraid of the criminal department, that they will get the some punishment, or police will catch them, they will go to jail. But a devotee, but an obedient citizen, sorry, but an obedient citizen, he has not done anything. You know, for example, if you are going on the road now here and you hear the police siren, what is your reaction? You don't react anything, right? Because you have not done anything wrong, so you just see where the car is going. I mean, you don't react, right? You don't run away from the car. But the problem, the criminal who has actually done something, he knows that the criminal department is coming for him, and what is the situation for him? He will be completely disturbed, and he will be running here and there, hiding himself. But an obedient citizen like us will be not disturbed at all. Similarly, when there is Maya, so liberated souls who are engaged in the service of the Lord, they are not disturbed. But the person who are completely engaged in Maya, they will be completely disturbed. So if you are engaged in Supreme Lord service, then you will not be afraid of Maya. This is the example of criminal department and criminal, right? A very nice example to relate. Yeah, let's go to the next verse. I have to finish. I think I have 4 or 5 slides. We'll finish today. Yeah, let's read the next verse. Sridevi Mataji, can you read? Yeah.
My dear Lord, after creating by your own potencies, you enter within the creation in 4 kinds of forms. Being within the hearts of the living entities, you know them and know how they are enjoying their senses. The so-called happiness of the material creation is exactly like the bee's enjoyment of honey after it has been collected in the honeycomb.
Yeah. So here there are again 2 examples. Very nice. So what the shloka says is, the so-called happiness of this material creation is exactly like the bees, honeybee enjoyment of honey after it has been collected in the honeycomb. Now we have seen all honeycomb, right? Not here, of course, in India. We have seen the honeycomb. When the honey collects the honey is the honeybee is also drinking the honey. You know, she's enjoying. But at the same time, what is happening is the honeybee is bitten by other honeybees also, by the sting. You know, honeybees are having the sting, right? The what do you call the sting? What they have. So they are bitten by the other honeybees. So all honeybees are biting each other also and drinking honey also at the same time. So this is exactly our position, that we are enjoying the happiness. We are trying to enjoy the happiness, but all bitten by our subordinates our other living entities at the same time. It's like a honeybee. This is what Bhagavatam is giving example. The so-called happiness of this material world. So this happiness of the material world is like we are experiencing happiness, but at the same time we are suffering also at the same time. Like for example, our I'll just give one example. Don't take it personally. There are some kids, right? So kids sometimes gives us happiness also, and kids are so cranky that the same kid will give us pain also, suffering also. That he's not eating, he's not staying at one place, and what I cannot concentrate on any other thing. But same kid is giving happiness also. So it is like that honeybee enjoying the sting also and enjoying honey also. So the material world happiness is exactly like this. This is what Srimad Bhagavatam says here. And what one interesting fact is here, that by your own potencies, Krishna enters into the creation in the 4 kinds of forms. Now, which are those 4 kinds? I have written here. See, there are 4 kinds of form. Some are born out of embryo, right? Jarayu, ja. Ja means born. Ja is the root word for birth, right? Jayatu. So that is what the birth is. Where the root word janma, ja comes the root word. So it says some are born out of embryo. Who is born out of embryo? We human beings. We are also born out of embryo only. And there is another category which are some born of by way of egg. Andaja. Some species are born out of egg, right? We are not born out of egg, right? We are born out of embryo. Some species are born out of perspiration, Shvedajah, out of perspiration, right? The bacteria, some microorganisms, all those comes, they are born out of perspiration. And some like trees by way of seed, Udbijacha, right? The trees. So they are born of seed. So seed, embryo, anda, and perspiration. These are the forms from where the living entities arise. So it says that you personally enter into that creation in these 4 forms, and you means who? Krishna enters with his own potencies. So Krishna is so potent that he enters in the all four kinds of forms, and he gives life to everyone. Right. So this is very interesting. So I have written this fact here. Let us read the next one. 66, 67. I think who is this? Can read. Snehaji, can you read? Or Vijay Prabhu, you are there, you can read. Vijay Boina.
Yeah. My dear Lord, all living entities within this material world are mad after planning for things, and they are always busy with a desire to do this or that. This is due to uncontrollable greed. The greed for material enjoyment is always existing in the living entity, but your Lordship is always alert, and in due course of time, you strike him, just as a snake seizes a mouse and very easily swallows him.
Yeah, read the next verse.
My dear Lord, any learned person knows that unless he worships you, his entire life is spoiled. Knowing this, how could he give up worshipping your lotus feet? Even our father and spiritual master, Lord Brahma, unhesitantly worshipped you, and the 14 Manu followed in his footsteps.
Yeah. So he's clearly saying, Lord Shiva is clearly saying that all living entities in this material world are mad after planning for these things, and they are always busy with the desire to do this and that. Is it not our condition? This is our condition, right? And this is due to uncontrollable greed. It is clear. Let us, Bhagavatam is like a mirror. It is like a mirror. We are seeing in the mirror. This is showing our characteristics, including me. I am speaking. That doesn't mean don't feel that I am elevated from you. We are all on the same platform, right? So due to uncontrollable greed, we are all doing this. We are planning so much, and this greed for is existing in all living entities. But your Lordship is always alert, and in due course of time, whatever plans we make, whatever all plans we make, but then just as a snake sneezes, the mouth very easily swallows. We are all swallowed by time, right? We are all swallowed at the end of life. Whatever plans we make, all plans will be here only, and will be swallowed, right? So we should focus on the real objective of the life, the real ultimate goal of the life. It is not said that you don't make any plans. Don't get the Bhagavatam in the wrong sense. It is said that you make your plans for the betterment, for the healthy remaining of the body, but you don't forget your real goal of the life. You don't forget the real ultimate goal of the life. In making all those plans for the body, don't forget the real goal. Further, it says that how could one give up worshipping of your lotus feet? Now, how can somebody not worship your lotus feet? Even Brahma and 14 Manus all followed, and everybody worship your lotus feet. How can somebody should miss a chance to worship your lotus feet in this material human form of in this human form of life? So, if you are not worshiping Krishna in the human form of life, it is his life will be spoiled. Entire life will spoil. This is the wordings of Lord Shiva. So, this is a learned person should see that he should worship the Vishnu Tattva, the Krishna Tattva, right? The Lord Krishna. This is what is said here. Yeah, let's read the next verse. Okay, now I think Shruti, you have you read? Shruti Harish, you can continue.
Yes, Prabhuji. My dear Lord, all living entities within this material world are mad after planning for things, and they are always busy with it.
Next, Haribol, the next 69 verse.
69. Okay.
32.
Divya has to change. Yeah. My dear sons of the king, just execute your occupational duty as kings with a pure heart. Just chant this prayer, fixing your mind on the feet of the Lord. That will bring you all good fortune, for the Lord will be very, very much pleased with you.
Yeah, so now Lord Shiva is saying to the Prachetas, oh my dear sons of the king, right? Oh my dear sons of the king, just execute your duties as king with a pure heart and chant the prayer which I have chanted for you. In this way, you chant your mind fixed on the lotus feet of the Lord, right? That will bring you what? That will bring you good fortune, for the Lord will be very much pleased with you. So if you chant these prayers, thinking about the Lord, he will be very pleased with you. So please do that as I instructed. Now he is telling to Prachetas. Okay, yeah, read the next Shruti Mataji.
Therefore, O sons of the king, the supreme personality of Godhead, Hari, is situated in everyone's heart. He is also within your hearts. Therefore, chant the glories of the Lord and always meditate upon him continuously.
Yeah, always meditate on him continuously, because he is in your heart, right? What Krishna said, this is said by Lord Shiva, right? We are doing the prayers sung by Lord Shiva, right? Don't forget that. So he's saying that you meditate on the Lord continuously. What Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita, Ananyas chintayanto mam ye jnana pariyupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. He says Ananyas chintayanto mam. Always remember me, continuously remember me, right? Then he says, many places he said, Manmanabhav madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vaishyasi satyam te pradijane priyosi me. Manmanabhav madbhakto. Always give your mind to me. So Krishna is always asking your mind, give your mind, your heart to me. He is not looking for your little flower, little water. He is looking after your bhakti, your bhava, your mind. You should think of Krishna. You should constantly remember him. This is only what he is thinking. He is asking from us, right? Okay. So let's read the next verse, 72 also. Shruti Mataji can read.
This prayer was first spoken to us by Lord Brahma, the master of all creators. The creators, headed by Bhrigu, were instructed in these prayers because they wanted to create.
Yeah. So this is very important verse here. So why he is giving all these instructions to Prachetas? He is giving the reason now that these prayers were chanted by Lord Brahma first, because Lord Krishna told to Brahma that you please create now. Your duty is to create, right? When Brahma came out of the lotus flower, he didn't knew what to be done. He was just here and there looking कि भाई मेरे को कोई काम assign कर दो. I am having no work at all. Like the project engineer, he's idle and he's looking after project managers that please assign some work. Otherwise, how will I, put my time sheet somewhere like that. So Brahmaji heard the word tapa, tapa. Then he started meditating, and then Lord gave him darshan. He told him, please create. Now you have to create the universe and do the creation part. So Brahma was able to create by chanting these prayers. So because now Prachetas, you have been given instructions by your father that you have to create the population, you have to generate progeny. So you please chant these prayers so that you will be getting the power to create. right? So whatever, if you want to create, you should chant these prayers. This is why Lord Shiva is giving the instructions to Prachetas. Let us go to the next verse, and that is the last, I think, second last slide. I think let us have Suchitra Patra. Can you read? Okay, Sunanda, are you there? Sunanda Bonam.
Prabhuji.
Hearing. Yeah, please, can you read the slide?
Hello?
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah, 1 minute.
74th verse.
A devotee of 74th. A devotee of Lord Krishna whose mind is always absorbed in him, who with great attention and reverence chants this stotra, will achieve the greatest perfection of life without delay.
Yeah, so now
Shall I
again,
continue,
what is,
Prabhuji?
yeah, wait. Yeah, you can continue. Yeah, read it.
Although rendering devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and worshipping Him, a very difficult if one vibrates or simply reads this stotra, composed and sung by me, he will very easily be able to invoke the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the dearmost objective of all auspicious benedictions. A human being who sings his song sung by me can please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such a devotee being fixed in the Lord's devotional service can acquire whatever he wants from the Supreme Lord.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji. So you heard the last sentence, can acquire whatever he wants from the Supreme Lord. So what is in it for me? If we chant these prayers, हमको क्या मिलेगा भाई? 1.5 घंटा हमने यहाँ पे सुना है भागवतम, आज सुबह 8 मतलब 7 बजे से 8:30 बज गए हैं, प्रभु जी ने 5-10 मिनट और एक्स्ट्रा ले लिए, नींद आ रही है बढ़िया एकदम, है ना? Because Bhagavatam, when you hear Bhagavatam, the first thing is, you forget all your worries and tensions and everything, and then when your tensions are gone away, you feel sleepy, right? When you close Bhagavatam and you switch on your TV, your sleep also goes away with the TV, right? So read Bhagavatam, you will feel very nice sleepy also. Okay. So what Lord is saying here, Lord Shiva is saying that whatever he wants from the Supreme Lord, you can desire once you have recited these prayers, right? He will achieve the greatest perfection of life without any delay, right? So if you are singing, if you are vibrating, your tongue is vibrating these prayers, which you all just chanted now one by one, all the prayers you chanted. So what has happened, which is composed and sung by me? Me means Lord Shiva. He will very easily able to invoke the mercy of the Lord, and he will be completely acquiring whatever he wants from the Supreme Lord. So is it not very good that to recite these prayers so that whatever we want from Supreme Lord, either association of devotees or whatever we want, we can get from the Lord by just reciting these prayers, right? So wonderful prayers. Let us read the next slide, the last slide. I think who has not read? Bhargav Malla, can you read? Okay. Okay, then Samira Mataji, you can read.
Yes, Prabhu. A devotee who rises early in the morning and with folded hands chants these prayers sung by Lord Shiva and gives facility to others to hear them certainly becomes free from all bondage to fruitive activities.
Yeah, Let the
My
next
dear sons of the king, the prayers I have recited to you are meant for pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Super Soul. I advise you to recite these prayers, which are as effective as great austerities. In this way, when you are mature, your life will be successful and you will certainly achieve all your desired objectives without fail.
Yeah, Haribol. So I can see always the Falashruti, whatever we are getting from this Bhagavatam is always read by Samira Mataji somehow. So whatever we get out of all this reading through all these things, so you'll be free from bondage of fruitive activities, and you'll be free, you'll be successful. Is always read by Samira Mataji. So you will be very soon free from all bondages and you'll be successful, Mataji. It's our prayers. So whatever you read, and of course it's not only Samira Mataji, whoever reads this prayer, whoever sings this prayer, whoever hears this prayer, benefited to all. That when you will become mature, life will be successful, and you'll certainly achieve all your desired objectives without any fail. So this is the confirmation given by whom? Lord Shiva, right? So it's not by me or not by any other person. It is directly coming from Lord Shiva. So you can just plainly, without any doubt, just chant these prayers and make your life successful. You should have complete faith on Lord Shiva. I have complete faith. Whatever he's saying is 100% correct. So please make your life successful. Chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, read Bhagavatam, recite Srimad Bhagavad Gita, and pray to Tulsi Maharani so that you can get bhakti of the Lord and you can be liberated from the material bondages. Shri Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Mahapurana ki jai.
Yay.
Having any questions or want to share something, we can quickly have 1 minute and then we can conclude. Okay, so if you have any questions, you can type in your questions in the group also. And so we'll conclude today's session. Thank you very much for joining in and chanting the song which is sung by Lord Shiva. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna,
Prabhuji, thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Krishna Prabhuji, thank you so much.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.